I have a question regarding the understanding and when is the understanding being complete? Because it feels like it's a kind of a cycle until you feel the understanding is complete. The mind keeps trying to understand, and there's unease in the mind. And as long as it happens, you feel like the understanding is not there. And when is the right time to drop it? And how do you know when?
Actually, the understanding is complete from the very beginning. You need not wait for the completion. But we are disturbing our understanding through our doubt. When we doubt, the understanding is disturbed. Otherwise, the very beginning itself is incomplete. So there is no incomplete understanding. Understanding means complete understanding. There is no incomplete understanding. If it is incomplete, it can be considered as, it cannot be considered as understanding. So all understanding is complete. But when we doubt our understanding, we are disturbing the understanding. If we do not disturb, it is for all, it is forever.
Can we consider the doubt itself as just a process in the mind and let it be there and just saying this is not
so
wrong?
in the beginning, the doubt is helpful. Then only we can confirm the quality of understanding. We can test the understanding. So everything we can take it as a help. Our doubt is we can be considered as a help to testify the understanding. So then we can relate our understanding to in all respect. So everything, but the matter is, when we understood something, the matter is over. But we need not expect more understanding. There is no more layer. Only ordinary understanding is enough. Very superficial understanding is enough.
I feel because we make this distinction between the psychological and the objective world, then there's this kind of a way to how to handle this situation, this current, because it's a different way of attitude towards these two aspects, and it's like the mind try to figure out, okay, this is psychological, and it's just another process of basically it's trying to apply the understanding, which I guess this is the problem.
So here, the external world, we are aware this is external, this is functional, that we are all aware. But we may think whether it is psychological or not, we may have some doubt. But whatever comes without your conscious effort, whatever comes, we have to consider as a psychological one. Because we are not creating the psychological emotion. It comes spontaneously. So whatever comes spontaneously, we have to consider it as psychological. But when we do something for ourselves, then it is external.
Of yours that I've not come across before that I would like you to go over at some point is the idea of the layer, mana layer.
Monolaya?
Yeah. I found nobody else presents that in the way, and I found it's quite a useful tool for.
So the monolaya, all experiences are monolaya. So monolaya means our mind taking some shape, taking shape, some mind. Because when we have some experience, pleasure or pain or whatever it may be, it has some shape. Then only we can name it as pleasure or pain. So whenever we have some shape in our experience, all those experiences are known as monolaya. So all actions, all feeling, all emotions, thought, think, all thinking, everything is Manolaya. Without Manolaya, nothing is possible. Everything is possible only because of Manolaya. But the Manolaya disappears naturally. But we need not worry about the disappearance of Manolaya. But we can make use of the Manolaya only for the external use. And we can make use of the Manolaya. With the help of the Manolaya alone, we can do something in the world. But psychologically, we need not do anything. Whether Manolaya is helping or not, there is no question of Manolaya. It's related to the dealings with the psychological factors. The psychological factors must be natural. There should not be any interference. We can do something, we can interfere something in the external world. But psychologically, there is no way. So what comes must go. So the Manolaya, when we have some Manolaya and we have some experience in the form of Manolaya, it must disappear. But it is disappearing naturally. We need not make it go. We need not drive it go. It is going on naturally. We need not take any effort to set it right.
And then you have another word for the natural soul. What's the other word? I forget it now.
But in our way, we are expressing as pravagam or vibration.
Yeah.
Pravagam means flowing.
Flowing. Thank you.
And everything that happens, it's you should consider it part of for experiences that happening. If it just happened, I just should consider it as part of the flow, and basically not making more noise than already.
But here, whatever happens in the psychological world happens unconsciously. The next moment alone, we are conscious of the happening. So when we are conscious of the happening, if it is related to the purely psychological world, then we can understand there is no work in our hand to deal with that. There is no work in our hand to interfere with that. But at the same time, if it is related to the external world, we can do our best to attempt the work. But in the first instance, it comes unconsciously. It is not in our hand. Whatever comes in the psychological world, it comes unconsciously. Only in the next moment alone, we feel conscious of that. When we are conscious of that alone, whether we want to interfere or not, the question arises. So when we are conscious of that, and we are also aware that it is purely psychological. When it is related only to emotions and there is no necessity to correct any emotions, it goes away naturally. So if it is purely, when we understand it is purely psychological, there is nothing in our hand to do anything. But if it is related to the external world, some emotion may come to do something in the external world, we can make use of the emotion to do the thing. But if it is purely psychological, not related to any work outside, we can simply allow that happening, whether it is a service or not, whether it exists or not, we need not bother anything. Whether it comes or goes, we don't have any work for that.
So let's go to this exact point where this resistance or attachment happens subconsciously, and then come to this moment of it comes to the conscious mind. At that moment, when I see consciously that there is this resistance, what exactly is the process? Because even if, like you say, we need to see if it's psychological, let it be. If it's related to external world, then don't allow it to interfere with the activity. So in this moment, this decision that needs to be made I look at it as another interference. So, like if you can talk about this exact moment when it comes to the conscious mind, and how do you handle it?
So attachment means what? What kind of attachment?
Let's say resistance. You see there is experience, and you see subconsciously that you disliking. For example, you don't like this experience. You want it to go away. It's naturally.
We don't like this experience alone.
Yes.
Not the thing externally.
Yeah. For example, something psychologically experience, internal experience, not related to the.
It's not related to the external world.
Exactly. And at that moment, it all happens subconsciously, and there is a moment of awareness now, and I see it happening. So now, just this realizing whether it's psychological or external is itself a thought process.
So thought process is there. We need not worry about the thought process. Thought process may come, doesn't matter. For example, we have some worry or tension or anything, but if it is related to the external world, we can make use of. If it is relevant to the external world, we can make use of that. But at the same time, if it is not relevant to the external world, something happens within our psychological structure, some fear, anger, anything. But here, there is no work. So in spite of there is no work, we do something, let it happen unconsciously. We need not worry about that. Whether conscious, in the psychological matter is concerned, there is no difference between conscious work and unconscious work. Both are same. Because psychologically, there is no progress, there is no problem. Even though it looks like a problem, it is not at all a problem. It comes and goes naturally. Even though you struggle to set it right, logically, I want to be always happy, these unwanted things should not come. You may think like that. But here, if it is understand that it is not related to the external world, it is purely psychological, then you put down everything. Whether you struggle with that or not struggling with that, everything is one. There is no difference between conscious struggling and unconscious struggling. But if it is purely psychological, there is no matter.
I come to this point because I feel it's a crucial point for me to understand. Because I feel that this moment I need to have some conceptual about whether it's psychological or not psychological. Like this division and a decision need to be made. So I need to let it go or not let it go, or how to handle it. And again, understanding if it's psychological, just leave it. But the very fact of me trying to even categorize it or conceptualize it, if it's psychological or not, it seems like another noise.
So here, for example, you see a snake, and you have some fear about that. So here, this fear comes related to the snake. So whenever you have some fear, then only you can avoid the snake, you can escape from the snake. So it is related to the snake, related to the external thing. But if it is then there is no snake, but at the same time, some fear may come without any reason. So here, you may resist the fear. You may try to be without fear. You may try to create some peace in your mind. You may create some silence in your mind. So all these things are purely psychological. So here no work at all. But in spite of that, we are doing some work. So here, whether you consciously doing some work within yourself or unconsciously creating some struggle within yourself, you have to consider as unconscious work. Whether you can do it consciously or not, there is no matter. If it is purely psychological, whether you do it consciously or not, you have to consider it as an unconscious happening. Even though you are doing it consciously, it has to be considered as unconscious work. So, because whatever you are doing in our psychological world, is only a lunatic valve. So in the psychological, it is purely psychological, it is a lunatic valve. So we cannot define lunatic matter. Lunacy is it will be just like a chaos. There cannot be any order. So we need not expect any order in a lunatic person. So it will be like that. The lunatic will be like that. So we need not worry about the conscious doing or unconscious doing. So the main thing is that we have to discriminate whether it is purely psychological or external. So if it is related to the external world, to the possible extent we can make use of a psychological structure to the action in the external world. We can use our mind to the external world, but we should not use our mind against the mind. Using mind against the mind is waste of energy and struggle.
Same thing in a different way. I have a question. So, what he says is this moment I am sitting, some thought comes. So I have to analyze whether this thought is related to internal world or external world. Then, if it's internal world, I should not act. If it's an external world, I should act. So I do a decision. There's a person who is deciding. Next moment, another thought comes. Whether this is related to internal world or office work. If it's office work, I have to go and do it. If it's internal work, I should not do anything. So then the next moment, again I have to do the same analysis. A person is standing there and has to take the thought and see whether this is internal or external. If it's internal, I should not act. External, I should act. So in this three moment, whether a person should stand and do this thing, if he is doing like this thing, the very standing and doing itself is a tiredness, is a noise. That's what he's trying to say.
So here, we need not do it consciously because it happens naturally. Whenever we have some experience unconsciously, the next moment we conscious of that experience. All experience comes unconsciously. The very next moment we are conscious of the experience. The moment we conscious of some experience, naturally we will have some impulse to do something. It's related to the experience. So here, naturally we will be in a position to do something or not to do something. So it is also a natural happening. So we will be in a position, but actually, when it is related to the external world, it will be very evident that we have to do something. But it is, we are sure it is related to the external world. We are very sure that we have to do something in the external world. But in the psychological world, it will be like that. Some conscious recognition. The moment we recognize the happening of some experience, the next moment unconsciously we will have some idea whether we have to do something or not. So in that action, in that unconscious happening, we can select. There is no necessity to proceed further.
So whatever you said, I will recap it in my own words. So you are saying the unconscious happening thought comes. So the unconsciousness produces the conscious that it had happened. So once the consciousness comes that something had happened, it itself analyzes automatically whether it's an external thing or an internal thing. And it itself decides whether to go forward or forget about it.
No, the conscious identification finds whether we have to accept the experience or not. Whether we have to go along with the experience or we have to free from the experience. We will have the natural impulse to behave like that.
So there is no analyzer standing alone. So even the analyzer is unconsciously comes.
It also comes unconsciously.
Okay. So unconsciousness comes, then consciousness comes, then the consciousness itself creates an analyzer. An analyzer itself knows whether to do it or not to do it. And everything goes away as I said. So this thing happens. So there is no separate person who is standing every moment analyzing whether this or that or those things.
Even the analyzer itself is every moment he is a new person. Person.
So the unconsciousness itself creates the consciousness, and the consciousness itself analyzes whether what to do or not. So there is no job separately for another person to stand. Difficult job.
But actually, we are very sure about the external world. There is no doubt in the external world. And we can keep our mind only in the external world. That alone is in our hand.
Yeah. So this idea has been put as an understanding inside,
Yeah.
and this happens automatically. Not every moment we keep it and dissect and see what is this, all those steps. And you say we understand like that. So every moment we should be alert and take every thought, see what is what, and do what to which, all those steps.
So, because the happening is unconscious, with the next moment we are conscious of the happening.
Yeah, that also it becomes conscious also arises unconsciously. We don't put effort to consciously conscious.
Then we cannot define consciousness. When we put the name only unconscious, we cannot define consciousness.
To understand, we can categorize.
So, we have to give some place for consciousness. If you everything in if you put everything in the place of unconsciousness, then we will be in a position not to describe the consciousness. So you have to somewhere or other we have to describe consciousness.
So this understanding which we have come to is an integral part of our conscious mind. Is that so? Yeah? This understanding which we have come to, that there is nothing to do as far as the psychological aspect is concerned. It is a part of our conscious mind, part of our intellect.
Part of the intellect and conscious mind.
Conscious mind. So, whenever any impulse, any emotion comes, so once we are completely focused on the external world, so automatically this selecting to do something, whether to do something or the other, also happens since understanding is a part of the conscious mind. That process, whether to select it or not, also happens in a very natural way. Is that the way it functions?
But here, every option comes like that, but the selection is in the hands of the conscious mind.
So it is the intellect, which is a part of the conscious mind, which decides that this emotion is relevant to the external world, and it can be used in a given situation. If the emotion is not relevant to the given situation, so it simply allows it to go. The whole thing happens as an integral part of this understanding.
Yeah, to add to that. So as you said, once we understanding enters through conscious mind. Once it enters to the conscious mind, then the unconscious only takes this understanding and places in the conscious mind every moment.
Each and every moment, conscious expression and conscious expression goes alternatively. It comes and goes regularly. So moment by moment, unconscious happening comes. The next moment it becomes conscious, and the next moment the unconscious happening. So it goes like that. So in this way, our work is only in the conscious mind. Our work is not in the unconscious mind. Unconscious, each and every moment, the unconscious mind happens repeatedly, and when we the next moment it becomes the conscious. We conscious of something. And when we are conscious of something, within the period, we do something.
Fine. So every thought has two parts, unconscious and conscious. And next thought comes, it has unconscious, then it becomes conscious about that unconscious. It like that only happens.
So in this way, it comes in the alternative way.
Alternative. So let us take the first part. Through reading books or hearing you, I do all analysis and conclude that I come to understanding that having work in the internal world is useless work. We are not going to succeed. So I decided it's not needed work. I do it consciously. Once I do it consciously and put it, this understanding enters into unconscious, inside deeper memory or something like that.
So it is not in our hand. So we understand, like, for example, even though we have some fear, But in the fear comes unconsciously. The next moment we understand we are having fear. The next moment we unconsciously want to be free from fear. In the next moment we think we are unnecessarily struggling with ourselves. So even though it comes unconsciously, the next moment we recognize the unconscious happening. So in this way, unconscious happening and recognizing the unconscious happening. And when we are recognize something, our action there is some action in our part. So in that action in our part, whether we can do anything consciously or not. And when we understand there is no conscious work in our part, so we don't do anything consciously.
Yeah, this is fine. So I'm trying to think, so only once we understand, we do all analysis and come to a conclusion that there is no job in the internal world. So this goes and gets recorded in memory or some other place. So each time I don't read a book, every moment I don't read a book and come to again analyze everything and come to a conclusion. So consciously I read book and analyze everything and come to a conclusion that there is no work in the internal world. If there is some work, it should be outside work. This conclusion I had made and I put in somewhere inside the unconscious mind or memory, all those steps.
So it will be naturally, it will go to our memory. But at the same time, in spite of our memory, we may have some fear, and when we have some fear, naturally we may be try to be free from fear itself. That means we are against ourselves. But that also happens unconsciously. This is but whenever we do such unconscious work against our understanding, the understanding in the unconscious struggling with ourselves also possible. But at the moment we are struggling with ourselves, the next moment we will know we are unnecessarily struggling with ourselves. That also will come naturally.
That's what. The conscious mind at that time doesn't read a book. So the conclusion already made comes into the conscious mind that there is no job. So this also happens unconsciously.
No, but everything comes, even though it comes unconsciously, and we recognize
as conscious,
as the conscious. Because all our memory, all our thought comes from the memory in the unconscious way. But when it reaches, we name it as conscious one.
So only once we have to read books, analyze everything and conclude consciously that this what to be done, what not to be done. Once it's put inside the memory as a conclusion, then there is no need to do each and every moment analyze with the conscious mind. We just take that conclusion and execute it.
But it itself brings the message about our decision. It will also happen consciously. And when we reach ourselves and we consciously know we are doing unconsciously some unnecessary work.
So only once our work is there, once we read everything, conclude everything and throw it inside the memory, then we can be free.
You spoke about Krishnamurti sometimes talks about a deeper understanding and all that, but you very clearly told there is no such deeper understanding. All that is required is conclusive understanding. Could you please say a few words about that? Conclusive understanding is what is needed, and once that we come to that conclusion, then things are over as far as the psychological aspect is concerned.
So conclusive understanding means we are not giving any room for doubt. So that is the thing. But that does not mean that we have to deeper level we have to understand. That does not mean some deeper level. We are not giving any room for doubt.
So that's what conclusive understanding actually means.
So if each and every situation comes, we again start analyzing whether what to do, what not to do, then we have not understood the fact.
Analyzing means because we may form the quality of the understanding. We may test in various ways. We can test the quality of understanding. That is different. But here, if you doubt the understanding, that is different. If you test the quality of understanding, is different. And doubt the understanding is different. So if you analyze all those things, you may take it as a testing of understanding.
Can you explain what you call testing of the understanding?
For example, when we struggle with ourselves, so when we struggle with ourselves, why this is happening like this? We have understood properly, but in spite of our understanding, why you are struggling with like this? So this is the testing of our understanding. But here we are not doubting our understanding. But doubting our understanding means superficial energy is not good, I have to go some other understanding. If you dismiss the understanding, then only you are doubting the understanding. But here we are not doubting the understanding. In spite of our understanding, why we are struggling within this way? In spite of our understanding, if we understood, everything will be all right. But in spite of understanding, why these unnecessary things happening? Then we are testing the role of understanding.
And in that moment when you ask yourself this, you realize that this is all, even this question is part of this unfolding in a way. Like, I'm trying to understand what exactly. So okay, there is something happening which is in a way contradict our understanding. Even though we understand it, it seems like we act in a different way.
So we understood properly, but it is not working here. Why it is not working here? Because we are not doubting the understanding. The understanding is good, but it is not working here. Then we question why it is not working. Even though the understanding is good, but it is not working here. Then why it is not working here? We have to, we are inquiring the details of the understanding, detailing of the functioning of the understanding in this law.
So it means at that moment the understanding is not complete. Why is it happening in those moments?
So if we think, if you understand properly, it has to work always without creating this situation. Then if you think like that, then you will go to suspect even the understanding itself. But when we are sure of the understanding, then you will not doubt the understanding. But at the same time, why it is not working here? Then we are dealing with the another particulars of the understanding. What is the quality of understanding in relation to the functional aspect? Then we are dealing with the relationship between the understanding and the natural happening of our mind.
What you are trying to do by understanding these details?
So, because we think, if we understood correctly, we should not have any such kind of nuisance within ourselves. I think like that. But in spite of that, we are having some nuisance. But at the same time, we are sure the understanding is correct. But in spite of our correct understanding, why this unnecessary thing happens? We are questioning like that.
Questioning and again come to this conclusion that it will happen like that only.
So, anyway, we have to encourage in that way. But we are not doubting the understanding.
What should we have to inquire about? Once our understanding is that we don't have any right to question these happenings.
But at the same time, even though that we have to come to the conclusion like this, because we have no right here, but in spite of the understanding, we are unconsciously claiming a right within the area. And we thereby we are confirming the understanding once again.
The very understanding is that we don't have any right to question this. Whether we understand or not, there is no place for our role here. But unconsciously, it may come.
Unconsciously,
it may come.
That because we are related to the external world. Naturally, we are giving some chance for the happening of this kind of unnecessary things, then only we can deal with the external world. So it is open like this to have all those things like that.
So unconscious doesn't listen our understanding.
Yes.
That's the understanding. So whatever.
So then our understanding does not mean that no such feeling should not come. So it has to come. Then only we have to deal with the external world. If there is no external world, then we may think no such unnecessary thing may come. The disappearance of experience is mano-nasa. That means, strictly speaking, mano-laya-nasa, not mano-nasa, mano-laya-nasa. The laya means shaping. The shape disappears.
Review would mean like the process of making a decision, or in the external world. In the internal, it's clear that we don't have to do anything with any of the experience, and whatever comes, we don't touch it. But when we need to make a decision, if I want to go that way or I want to go this way, then there is the intellect comes.
Mm-hmm.
And the intellect is a thought process which may still rely on concepts and or on wanting and diswanting of some experiences. For example, I don't want to go that way because of fear, and I may be fearful over there. And that way, this is something I like more. And in this way, we make a decision. So the decision that we make related to external world is still in relation to experience. I want this experience, or rather, I don't want that experience. Is there a problem with that, or is
No, you can base upon the good experience, because when you want to meet your friend, you'll be happy. So you can attach your happiness with your action, doesn't matter. But when you meet some unwanted thing, you'll have some tension within your mind. So you may avoid such thing. So here in the external world is concerned, you may attach your emotions or feelings to that thing. Doesn't matter. But here, the matter is in your choice. You can select like this. But psychologically, it is not in our hand. It happens. Whatever comes, it will happen. But at the same time, even though you select, whenever you go to some good place, then you may expect some happiness. But when you go there and instead of happiness, you may get sorrow or fear or anything. But whatever comes, you have to go along with that. You should not question why fear has come. I expected only happiness, but instead of happiness, why you have come like this? We cannot question anything. It is a happening. Whatever comes in the psychological world, we must treat it as a happening.
But back to this decision. So you say it's okay if I make this decision according to how I feel and want some more pleasant sensation, and so I choose this. But it might be that the other option, which doesn't necessarily bring the pleasant sensation, is more, let's say, more appropriate. It's a very gray area. It's not like a black and white that you can say this is right and wrong. But sometimes there is a tendency that what is more appropriate at this moment, but despite of what is more appropriate, you have the choice go to the other direction just because of this preference. So it's still not a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Or I can.
What are you saying?
I can rephrase.
You can give an example. If you say with some example, then it will very easily follow.
I need to go. There are two places I need to go next after Tiruvannamalai. And one place I can learn something, something that will be useful, and another place which is just more pleasant and fun, and there is some fear going to. So it's quite more clear that the appropriate thing maybe is to go to this place which will, in a way, will learn something new or will be helpful in some way. But I have some fear of that because it's not my comfort zone. Because of and although it's more appropriate, I go with the other decision, make the other way, just because I prefer that experience over that experience. You understand?
So here, our mind creates some demand. For example, when we are interested upon something, our mind demands that. And something we may not be interested, our mind may not be interested in something. And so mind is not ready to go there. But at the same time, our intellect may select. Even though our mind is not ready to go there, our intellect may select. So this is good, I have to go there. But the mind may give you so many choice. This I like, this I don't like. In this way, our mind may give us many choices. But our intellect, upon the choices, the intellect selects someone. This is good for everything, and you select something. So here, in the external world is concerned, our intellect must be given more preference. For example, if the intellect follows the mind, and we go along with the mind, because the mind is interested to go some place, and the intellect follows the mind and go to that place. When you reach the place, the mind will again tell you that it is not good and I will go some other place. The mind is always wandering from jumping from one place to another. So that is the nature of the mind. It is moving here and there. But the intellect is not like that. Intellect is a decisive mind. So when we follow the intellect, in course of time, the mind will support the intellect itself. For example, if some weighted box is there, when you try to take away the box, the energy will come to your hand. Actually, there is no energy in our hand to take the huge box. But whenever you try to take away the box, the energy will come to the hand. The next moment, whenever you remove the box, the energy will disappear. So in this way, whenever you take some decision to do something, our mind will support to that. But you need not worry about the mind. So the external world is concerned, the intellect must take the role.
So I need to be, in a way, need to be discerned between what is the intellect and what is the mind. Because this thought process of making a choice, it's like a bundle of thoughts that after all makes it.
And so here, mind is what is having some demand. This I don't want, this I don't want, means the mind. But the intellect is not having any demand. So it will give you some idea. So this is good for this, this is bad for that. So you have some intelligent idea. So this part of the, even the everything is within our mind. So some part is having the intellect, the role of intellect, having the intelligence. So this is good for everything, this is bad for something. So in this way, you analyze everything and take a decision. So the decisive part is known as the intellect. But the mind will not have any reasoning. It demands. I like this, so I want this. I don't like this, I don't want this. So in this way, it functions in the terms of demands. But the intellect will not function in the ways of demand. So it shows a way, but it will not demand.
I understand. And sometimes this, I totally understand what you say, but sometimes this demand or this concept of what we have about one of the options that comes from the mind may be very, very strong. And even though this intellect, it's very clear, the intellect says what to do, I find myself doing the other thing, even though I know very clear that this is, and I understand that the mind came to control in this situation, although it's very clear that the intellect says otherwise. So in this case, I need to just consider it just a happening, and
So when if the demand of the mind may be very strong, then the intellect follows the mind, and you go to the place where the mind soars. When you reach the place, the next moment it will dismiss the place and it will try to go to the other place. So the mind, the intellect has to go along with the mind, he has to swing here and there. So that is the nature of the mind, and that will be the nature of the intellect. So it is a better way, whether you have the intellect, the mind may be powerful, we should not give the consent to that. So we have to take into account only the intellect alone. Then only it will go.
I understand, it's very clear, but sometimes it's still not happening. So if it's not happening like this, even though this understanding is very clear what is better, then just treat it, because it's very easy to again feel guilty or feel...
So here, the matter, when you give importance to the intellect, and the intellect decide like this, but in spite of that decision, if the mind is not ready to support, and it takes against the mind, against the intellect itself, then we have to, the intellect will not fight, because the intellect will give you a decision, it will not create any demand. So afterwards the intellect will submit to the mind. So you have to meet the fate of the mind.
Yeah.
But in course of time, the mind will find it is waste.
Yes, okay.
And the intellect as a long-term joy.
I said, sorry.
Long-term joy. So even though intellect it decides on the long term. For example, if I am a college boy, I can daily go to cinema and watch movies daily. So as a college boy, I decide I have to get a degree, I have to get a job. And then weekly once I can watch a cinema and I have more comfort. So in that way, I choose this long-term joy instead of short-term joy. The short-term joy is mind, the long-term joy is intellect.
So if you use the word joy, it is all right, but it is not at all a joy. Because when we have, when you use the word joy, we have to, there some demand is there. But in the case of intellect, there should not be any demand. When there is some demand, it is not at all intellect. It will have some idea. This is correct.
Yeah, this
Whether
is
you follow or not, I don't mind.
Yeah, this is correct. So this is a phrase. Intellect this is correct. So on what basis this correctness is coined? That's the question. So for example, I am say having some charity work or having some home for orphanages is the correct. So this is what I think is correct. Or having a family and supporting the children is correct. These are the correct things usually people have. So if I have a family and proper children bringing up, there is a certain long-term joy, and this is what I like. So without joy, you can't define anything.
So if you introducing the word joy, so it is the language of the mind. It is not the language of the intellect. So if the intellect has to use the language of the mind, then it cannot be well explained. So actually, that means if the intellect takes the role, it is helping the mind to have the joy. But the mind is related, the joy is related to the mind alone, not to the intellect.
See, for example, I can't think anything beyond joy. That's what. So in that
Here,
case,
even though intellect is taking the role, it is taking the role on behalf of the mind itself. So that the mind, when it takes the role on behalf of the mind itself, it may assure you will have the proper joy. And you need not worry about the little joy, you may have proper joy.
That's what I call long term.
But the joy may be related only to the mind, not related to the intellect.
So the intellect promises, mind, don't worry, don't go for short-term joy, don't worry, you will get a long-term joy. For example, I have 1,000 rupees. I can go and spend in amusement. This is a certain short-term joy. I can give this 1,000 rupees to 10 people and feel joyful also. This is correct. I feel this is correct. I should help charity people. So this is intellect decision. This is a long-term joy. In both cases, only joy is the primary source.
But you may use, if you are interested to use the word in this way, doesn't matter.
No, I'm not interested, but I see that this is how it is. But you see any other thing, any other factor other than joy?
So here, sometimes joy may not be there. So we should not measure everything in the terms of joy alone. Sometimes the joy may not be there.
It's not like a pleasurable joy, but the very thought that I have helped so many people is a kind of a joy only. So many people are getting food, some people are getting educated because of my running the business. This is also I consider as a joy.
But here, when you give importance to the word joy, thereby we are missing the main role, main point. So in a minor aspect, we may use the word joy, but it is not the important one.
Okay.
So the main thing is that what is the role of the intellect and the role of the mind. So if you use the word joy, then we are dealing with only the mind alone, not dealing with the intellect. So we have to find out the role of the intellect. So if you use the word joy, it is not the language of the intellect.
I understand that the thing is that the mind wants some happy experience, some pleasurable experience. So it demands, I want this experience, and the intellect sees that it is. If the intellect says this is not right, this is not good, this is not good for my well-being, then the intellect part of the mind doesn't take up that emotion, doesn't consciously take up that emotion. Only if we consciously take up that demand or the emotion, it can become an action. So when the intellect says that if this is not right, so let it simply go. It doesn't actually take up that demand or the emotion. So it flows on its own. But when the intellect also says, okay, if the demand is very strong, as he was putting, then sometimes the intellect also submits to the demand. Okay, submits to the demand. Then only it becomes an action. So if the action is good, we get good results out of that. But if the action is bad, and we face corresponding consequences for that. Is that the way it functions? Because that's how I understood the whole thing. Because only when we consciously take up that particular emotion or feeling, that's what you also tell, that anger comes. It is the conscious mind, it's the intellect which decides whether we want to show the anger or not. The same thing applies to other emotions as well. Is that the idea?
Actually, the mind alone places many demands.
Yes.
Even the intellect will not have any separate demand for that.
Yes.
So even though it takes some decision to go enjoy something or anything or not enjoy something, everything is the demand of the mind. And the intellect upholds some demand of the mind. So, but when it is upheld by the intellect, this is the decision of the intellect itself.
Yes.
Not the demand of the demand of the mind. It is the understanding or the decision of the mind. Decision of the intellect.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So when it is the decision of the intellect, then because the mind may say something, the one time you say something and the other time say something, and then the mind becomes silent and follow the intellect.
Yes.
So because the intellect says something, this is correct, and in this way it will go like this. So here, the intellect will not have any separate rule for itself. So it takes something, everything, all suggestions are created by the mind itself. So it takes one, in any one of the mind, any one of the suggestion. And any one of the suggestion, it concludes this is correct. And then when it is upload any decision, then it can be considered as the decision of the intellect itself.
Yeah. That's how I understood also. The mind says a few options, and the intellect approves. If the intellect approves one particular option, one particular, this is right, this is good for me. When the intellect approves that, then only it turns into action. If the intellect doesn't approve, then it cannot become an action. That's right. Right? So the intellect is the one which decides, which approves. So without the approval of the intellect, no action can actually happen.
In addition to that, so mind, as you said, beautifully, mind throws many options. Out of those options, only intellect has to choose one option. It has no other option. Out of whatever is thrown, only it has to capture one and it has to execute it. Whether it's possible to not to choose any of the options thrown by the mind.
So here, the suggestion is can come only through the mind.
Yeah.
So there is no other way.
Yeah, it has to choose any one of these options.
So some new option, whatever comes, all options will be provided by the mind.
Okay.
There is no other mechanism.
So intellect has to choose one option. Whether it is possible intellect to choose zero option.
Even
zero option is one of the options.
One of the options. Taking zero option is one of the options
of the mind.
Yeah. And then it will uphold the zero option.
That's what not doing any work is also choosing a work.
Yes. If the intellect finds the options provided by the mind are not right or not good for my well-being, then it can reject all the options and simply let all that go. Is that also a possibility? Is that choosing zero option? Ayya?
Zero option means also created by the mind. And it upholds
by the intellect.
It throws 10 options, and the 11th option is you can reject all these 10 options. It chooses the 11th option. So we can't make a statement that I am free, I don't choose. See, I don't do job, I don't take any responsibility. Doesn't mean I have not chosen. I have chosen this, whatever state I am, I have chosen this one. It may outside look that I have not chosen anything.
But we have chosen.
Even though I choose a lazy life or irresponsible life, I have chosen it.
headaches or anything in the body, you consider it as not just a sensation, as opposed to sensation that can happen in the body.
It is external.
You consider it as
Yes.
external. Yes.
But when you think the pain may be a disease or anything, you are making it psychological.
Yes.
This includes short-term joy, long-term joy, all those stuffs. So out of that, intelligence chooses the long-term joy intelligently.
But it will decide in terms of joy. The chooses does not represent any joy. But the demand is
From the mind.
all made up of joy.
Okay.
But the selection comes through the intellect, does not on the basis of joy.
The selection criteria is not based on joy.
No.
Then what else?
So it may be good for in all respect, but the goodness may not related to the joy.
Oh.
Joy means we have some enjoyment.
No, even that. For example, I'm running a business. Out of that, I'm giving 10% to orphanage. So those people are getting education, food. This is also a joy I consider. This you consider as a good.
So here, when you are interested upon joy, we will have some
Amusement itself.
So some demand. We will have to have some demand. So joy is the source for demand. So when the intellect functions in the language of joy, so it is not at all intellect. So it will begin take the role of the mind.
What I understand is if the intellect is interested in joy, it will not do a long-term joy itself. It will go for a short-term joy itself. It will not have passion even to wait and to get it.
Sometimes even the intellect may select a short-term joy itself. So we cannot say instead of long-term joy, it may decide like this because it will be neutral. In all respect, it will be neutral. This will be the good. It will select like this. In that selection, it may select even short-term joy itself. But we cannot share whether it will select long-term joy or short-term joy.
If you give criteria, selection criteria as a good, how you define that good? Again, the good depends upon religion, the culture, all those things.
But here it will have some intelligence. He is intelligent because our intelligence says like that. Here, not demand. Not demand does not say anything, but intelligence says something. If we use our intelligence, the intelligence may say something, but the demand may say many things. But the intelligence may say only something alone. But here the role of the intellect is only intelligence, not demand.
Yeah, that I understood. Now, based on goodness, or the criteria of goodness, you decide. So that goodness differs. For example,
May differ.
Yeah, differ.
Can you say that this intelligence, this intellect is not personal and it looks at the bigger picture in a way?
No.
So sometimes it's you will choose something which is painful for you because it will help many other people, for example.
Not like that. Only personal. Even intellect itself also personality.
So why
For
would
your well-being, not for the society or for universal well-being, not like that.
if, for example, there is an action that I can take which will be a little bit painful for me personally, but it will help many other people from suffering, it's very clear what is the right action to do, but it won't make any joy, it will create some pain, some unpleasantness for personal. So in a way, if the intellect will clearly say, I think, if I understand correctly, the intellect will say, do this, although it's not pleasant, but it's not pleasant. It's not personal satisfaction.
So here, whatever you want to do, everything we are trying to do through our mind. So the mind demands. So it may demand this will be doing help to the others may be a pleasurable one. It may think like that. So giving something or whatever it may think, like getting something from others or giving something to the other. It may either way it may take pleasure upon giving or getting something. But the intellect is not based upon this demand. So intellect is not, here is the intellect takes a role, which one is correct for yourself, for your thing. For example, it may select, it may think, for example, your mind may say, I will give my entire property to the poor people. You may, because I am interested to give everything to the poor people. But the intellect may not allow it because it is not good. It is if you do long this, you will be suffer. So it will. So then the intellect say like this. Actually, it may not be a good thing, but it is a good thing for yourself. So for the welfare of yourself, the intellect functions. So you decide for yourself. But in this also, our mind in different ways says like that. So one time the mind may say we have to give everything to the poor. The other time the mind may say, no, I should not give everything to the poor. And the intellect says, intellect decides upon the two choice, the intellect select one thing. But when during the selection, it select the thing in a neutral mind. So this is good in all respect for myself. So in this way, it will uphold one of the suggestion given by the mind, and it will uphold the thing. Then it is a decision of the mind and the intellect itself. It is not the universal factor for yourself or your welfare.
So it will never choose something which will be a little bit harmful for me, but for the good, for the well-being of others. Like, it will never choose this way.
Never?
Means I cannot think of a good example now, but it feels like again, if I have, it will never choose something that will not be good for me. Just even I don't know. My parents are sick, and personally, it's much better to do something which is to make one choice, but something which need to. The intellect may the right thing may be to go and help others in a sense, but I will not get any benefit from it. You understand?
So you are interested to you're interested to help your parents and interested to help the others in two ways.
No.
Let me put it.
Yes.
So in some cases where I need to help others, it will be useful for them, but I may go through some pain.
Yes.
So I may go through my pain. In that condition, I go through the pain and do good for others. This is what intellect decides.
So here also, this is also suggested by the mind itself. So the mind may give you many options. It may tell you you have to go, you have to help the others, and thereby you may sustain pain itself. You will accept the pain. Your mind may suggest like this. Sometimes the mind may say, no, you should not help like this. So the mind, everything is, all suggestions are given by the mind alone. But our intelligence our intellect select one of those suggestions. But when doing the selection, it is neutral, not it is not based upon any demand. Without any demand, it neutrally, just like a judicial person, it selects something. So, and when we select something, then naturally the mind follows the decision of the intellect.
Yeah.
You said before, no? But intellect decides on personal basis only.
No, personal basis only.
Okay.
Not for the welfare of the entire society.
Okay.
For ourselves, our interest only. But at this, even though we are selecting for the goodness of ourselves, but it will not be, it will be neutral way. It will just like without any bias upon anything, it will take in a neutral role.
Then how can you call it personal? For example, if I am helping some other.
So the aim is only to help us.
So
not
even
for the society.
even helping the orphanage people, he is helping me.
Not for that. Here, all suggestions are created by your mind.
Okay.
You to help the orphanage or helping to myself.
Okay.
So everything is, all suggestions are given by your mind.
Okay.
But the intellect select upon those suggestions and in a neutral way, without any bias, and select and come to a conclusion.
Okay.
Which one is good for me?
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a possibility that I see a few people who could be whom I like very much, and they are facing some trouble, and they are having a challenging situation. For example, like the flood situation in Chennai right now. So, and my mind says that I should help them. They are in a difficult situation, but in that process, there is always this possibility that I could undergo some pain, I could undergo lots of discomfort, but still they are my friends. I like them and I want to help them. So the mind is giving this option. My mind is telling this idea, and the intellect says, okay, they are my friends, and in this particular situation, even if I undergo some discomfort, some pain, it doesn't matter, and I really want to help them. So the intellect can take that decision also, because in my mind I include all those people as a part of my mind. So and my happiness includes their well-being as well. So is that a possibility, a practical possibility?
So here, the mind, the intellect has to make you do something.
Yeah.
So it has to lead you. You have to lead you. So leading you. So here, doing good for the others, in the general philosophy, what is good? If then we can come to a conclusion that doing good for all is the best thing. So we are not dealing with that.
Yeah.
So how the intellect helps us to do something. So here doing something is related to the role of the intellect. So here it takes some decision. So in what way the intellect takes the decision. So what is the nature of the intellect when selecting something? So here it may consider like this, but it may take into account in many, because we are giving many options. Upon this option, with the available facts, it comes to a conclusion. If this is the correct way. Because all options are wrong, then it may dismiss all options. Just like the judicial officer, it will pronounce judgment only available facts, available evidence alone. We cannot go beyond the evidence. Only the evidence, because according to the evidence, this evidence are available, so according to the evidence alone, I can come to a conclusion. So in this way alone, the intellect has to come to a conclusion.
So it will come to a conclusion based on the available facts and evidence.
And in a neutral way.
So there is the possibility that it will come to the decision that, okay, even if I undergo some pain or discomfort, it's not a problem, I can go and help them. That possibility is also there.
If you select, so doing good for the others, It's good.
Yeah.
It is for yourself also good and others are also good.
Yeah.
It may neutrally take a decision like this.
So that possibility is also there.
Also there.
In that case, so as I said, my friends are suffering in Chennai. I should help them. In that case, yeah, if I get pain also, it's okay. This is what I decided. So how you are saying this decision as a personal one?
So personal one means what you have to do.
Okay.
So you are doing something.
Okay.
So you have to lead by the intellect.
Okay.
So in this respect, it is
It's
personal.
personal. Okay. It's not based on joy.
Not personal.
It's not based on, this decision is not based on joy.
This is not based on joy. It is from intelligence.
Intelligence. Personal intelligence.
Intelligence.
Okay.
So it's personal in the sense that it will give the person what needs to be done. But it's what I meant by impersonal in the first place. If I go to the extreme, then it might even decide to take his life for the, I don't know, if some extreme situation is required. So it's definitely not good for the person, but it's the right thing. This is what the intellect, in a neutral way, this is the thing to do. Correct?
But all suggestions are given by my mind.
Yeah.
So you can select like this. You may select, I have to live for the others. You may select like this. But here, the decision gives the chance to go, chance to move.
Mm-hmm.
So it is related to yourself, your action. So you have to lead, you have to point the way to act. For your action maybe towards the benefit of the others.
Exactly.
That is the difference.
So that decision could obviously include other people for the well-being of the other people also. But still, it is a personal decision. Personal decision, and it will lead the person into action.
Yeah, into action.
That action could lead to the well-being of others as well.
Also.
Again the same point. See, I identify myself that those who are living in Chennai are my friends. Their pain is my pain. Their pleasure is my pleasure. So whatever only I include,
Yes.
only I will be responding. So it again becomes based on the decision is based on only joy. If some Hindus suffer, then I identify that Hindus are my people, then I help only those people. If I identify with some other country, then they will do only that. So it's again personal and personal joy only. It's not a question of
so here the language, I am questioning the language.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the intellect also using the language of joy, then it is not at all the intellect. So it must be neutral. It must be about joy.
See, if you
But
want
in the language of your mind alone, you can use the word joy or happiness or anything.
See, in my understanding, there is no factor other than the joy. So you can call it 2-3 names. Doesn't matter. But the only thing is I identify that pain as my pain. So
when the intellect also using the joy as a deciding factor, then it is not at all intellect. So it must be without any option. It has no option on its own. It only neutral.
Some other criteria only it has to choose. So same examples, if some friends are suffering in Chennai, so that those suffering has to become part of me.
But actually, it chooses only the demand created by the mind.
Okay.
But in the mind level, joys are there, demands are there. But it chooses, but the intellect chooses among the demands. But when it chooses, it is not, itself is not a demand. The choosing itself is not a demand.
Yeah, choosing is not a demand, but all the options provided is based on the criteria of joy only.
Maybe.
That's what I think. Oh my God.
So there is a thief. he wants to steal some property from some other house. He has some option. Which house I have to?
So what intellect is this?
Which house I have to steal today? Here also, the intellect takes a role. This house is suitable.
My neighbor also.
Here also, the intellect takes a role, not only helping for the society. So, we have to execute the thing in a right way and proper way. For that, it can select like this. So, the role of the intellect is, it is not helping for average, it is not for a work. I am doing some work, I am having some work. In what way I have to attend the work? In how I have to work. So that is the role of the intellect.
So now I understand. So based on this joy factor only, the mind creates all the options.
Exactly.
All the options is created based on this joy only.
Joy.
Out of those created options, intelligence can choose any one of the options.
Not affected by any joy, and it gets its neutral.
Neutral.
Then you select something.
But these options are based on joy only.
That's
Even though it chooses, for intellect it is unbiased.
unbiased.
It looks, but as a whole if you see, everything is born out of this joy only. Out of joy, so better intelligence choose joy itself. That's what I concluded. So, but intellect has to choose unbiased, not based on the joy. Since I saw joy is the basis of all the options, I thought intellectually we should choose joy. So, very little subtle.
இந்த உடல் நம்ம இல்லை அப்படின்றாங்க. ஆத்மானா எங்கே இருக்குது, அதை இறைவனும் உடல்லையும் இருக்காருன்றாங்க, வெளியே மேலே இருக்காங்க அப்படின்றாங்க. இது
அதாவது ஜடம் சைதன்யம் சொல்லி சொல்கிறாங்க. இங்கிலீஷ் வாங்க, இங்கிலீஷ் வாங்க.
இங்கிலீஷ்
அதாவது ஜடம்ங்கிறது வந்து ஜடப்பொருள், சைதன்யங்கிறது உயிர் பொருள். சைதன்யங்கிறது ஆன்மா, இறைவங்கிறதுலாம் சைதன்யம். சைதன்யங்கிறதே வந்து இப்போ இந்த இது ஒரு செல்ஃபோன் இருக்குது, இதுக்கு தனி இது தெரியாது, தன்னையும் தெரியாது, அடுத்ததையும் அறிய முடியாது. அப்போ அதுக்கு பேர் வந்து ஜடம். தன்னையும் அறியாது, பிறதையும் அறியாது. இப்போ நம்ம கையில் வந்து ஒரு காயம் பட்டிருக்கு, காயம் பட்டு வலியாக இருக்கு. காயம் பட்டு வலியாக இருக்குங்கிறத நீங்கள் எப்படி தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்க? இந்த கையை வச்சு தொட்டு தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்களா? இப்போ நான் இந்த செல்ஃபோன் இருக்கிறத நான் தொட்டு தெரிஞ்சுக்கிடுறேன். இந்த வலி இருக்கிறத நான் தொட்டு தெரியணுமா?
இல்லை, அது
நம்மளாவே தெரியுது. தனக்குத்தானே தெரிஞ்சுக்கிடுது. தனக்குத்தானே தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டுறதுக்கு பேர் தான் சைதன்யம் சொல்கிறது. தன்னறிவோடு இருக்கிறது சைதன்யம். அதுக்கு அது என்ன, அதை பார்க்குறதுக்கு என்னொன்று தேவையில்லை. தன்னைத்தானே அதை அறிவிச்சுக்கிறதுக்கு அறிஞ்சிக்கிறதுக்கு என்னொன்று உதவி இல்லாதபடி தன்னைத்தானே எது அறிஞ்சிக்கிறதோ அதுக்கு பேர் தான் சைதன்யம்னு சொல்கிறது. இப்போ நமக்கு எல்லாமே, இப்போ நமக்கு உடலில் உணர்றோம், மனசில் எல்லாம் உணர்றோம், அது எல்லாமே சைதன்யம் தான். அது அந்த சுய அறிவோடு இருக்கிறது எல்லாமே சைதன்யம். அதுதான் இறைவன் ஆன்மாங்கிறதுலாம் இருக்கும். ஆனால் என்னங்கன்னா அது வந்து ஒரு உபாதைக்கு உட்பட்டு அறியப்படுது. அதனால அது உபாதின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. ஒரு உபாதையோடு சேர்ந்து அறியுது. அதனால் ஒரு உபாதையோடு சேர்ந்து அறியுது. அந்த உபாதைக்கு ஆதாரமாக இருக்கிறது தான் உண்மையான சைதன்யம். இது வந்து இதெல்லாம் அந்த கருவி மூலமாக வெளிப்படுது. அந்த கருவி அறிவின் மூலமாக வெளிப்படுறது ஒன்று இருக்குது, அதுதான் உண்மையான சைதன்யம். ஆனால் அதை தனியாக அறியவே முடியாது. நமக்கு தெரிகிறது அது வந்து உபாதியாக வெளிப்படுறது மட்டும்தான், அந்த எக்ஸ்பிரஷனாக வெளிப்படுறது மட்டும் நமக்கு அறிய முடியும். அது இப்போ நமக்கு வந்து எது எதெல்லாம் நம்ம ஃபீல் பண்ணுறோமோ அதெல்லாமே இறைவனுக்கு எடுத்துக்கிறோம். நீ உடலால் உணர்றதும் இறைவன் தான், மனசால் உணர்றதும் இறைவன் தானே எடுத்துக்கிறோம். அப்படி மட்டும்தான் நம்மளால் அறிய முடியும். வேறு இதுக்கு ஆதாரமாக இருக்கிறதும் உண்மையான இறைவன், உண்மையான ஆன்மா. ஆனால் அது தனிப்பட்ட அறிஞ்சிடவே முடியாது. நமக்கு தெரிகிறதெல்லாம் இப்படிப்பட்ட வெளிப்பாட்டு மூலமாக தான் நம்ம அறிய முடியும்.
Theoretical prasna, which many seekers go through in their journey. Many masters suggest that don't identify with your mind. Non-identification with the mind. Witness the mind. Don't identify with your thought process. So, how effective is that? Does that play any role in the process of our understanding in our path? Non-identification with the mind. What do they exactly mean by that?
So we are thinking that we are made up of our mind. When we are thinking that we are made up of our mind, then we catch hold of our mind, and we are our mind is permanent. In this way, we are thinking like that. But the mind is momentary. It comes and goes. We cannot rely upon the mind. It is not an eternal thing. This is a momentary thing. So, but when we assume I myself is the mind, because I know I am, and I am is the mind, and I am forever. If you think like that, I am made up of mind, I am forever. So in this way, I am giving some permanency to our mind. So we assume some permanency to the mind. We attribute some permanency to the mind. So that is the identification of the mind. So if we don't identify ourselves with the mind, that means we reject the mind. We are actually mind comes and goes. It is not a permanent one. That is the main thing, is that mind is a transitory one. It is not a permanent one. That is the meaning behind the non-identification of mind.
Okay. So not attaching permanency to the mind. So because it comes and goes moment to moment. So nothing permanent about the mind. Is that the meaning?
Instead of rightly defining what is mind, they are not able to rightly define it. So only way to rightly is they define some other thing. By rightly defining that it's impermanency of the mind, there is no need to introduce the other layers like Atman, Brahman, all those things.
Possible to be not attached to the mind. So for me, I am not able to be not attached to the mind. Even as observer or witnesser, it is also mind, in my opinion or feeling. It's only subtle mind. So, and it's already in this process of identification, even as a witnesser. So, and that thing which, and who can now disconnect from that function, because this is also mind. Everything is like in one box, which I called mind. So who can disconnect from what? You know, the shadow cannot remove itself.
Everything is mind, even the I am also mind.
Yes.
But we think, as a common man, everybody knows I am permanent. We may feel a permanency. So don't assume your permanency through the mind. If you assume your permanency with the help of your mind, so it is not proper way. So in this way we are guided by this saying, don't identify yourself with the mind. So they are guiding like this.
Yeah.
Don't associate yourself.
Yeah.
They are, for the time being, they approve that you may be permanent. You may be permanent, but don't associate with the mind. If you do not associate with the mind and keep yourself permanent with the associating with the mind, and find out for yourself without the help of the mind itself. That means when you function like this, even the I am will also go away. Not only the mind, everything will be away. Because everything is momentary. Without having the thought process, we cannot feel I am. Only with the function of the thought alone, we can feel I am. So when there is no thought, there is no I am. So actually, the I am is the thought itself. Even though some consciousness may be there behind the thought, on the basis of each and every thought, some consciousness is there. The consciousness, all consciousness is self-evident. We cannot bring the self-evident nature of anything. It is there. Some being is there. But here, the expression, the being is undergone some expression. With the help of some thought, we create some picture. We hold me to be somebody, and we hold other as somebody. So, some picture is moving, some picture is we are having. So the problem is only in the pictures, not in the being. But the being will not have any, we need not have any philosophy to follow. So it is always free from everything. So only the problem is in the pictures and the moments. Here we have to dismiss all the pictures.
So that is possible only when we dismiss ourselves as a picture along with other pictures. We can't keep our picture and dismiss other pictures. That is not possible. We dismiss the whole process.
All process is made up of some pictures.
This philosophy, or they themselves thought that they had a separate account. So it continues to what was saying. So this and the explanation given by you, whether they have this intention and they gave this philosophy of permanent I am, or they themselves believe that there is a permanent I am.
So even though you consider it to be a permanent one, when you not attached to any other mind, you cannot find yourself. So indirectly, they want to dismiss ourselves.
This is the explanation you are giving. Whether this clarity they had, based on this clarity they have given this philosophy or technique.
So the main thing is that we have to dismiss the mind. We should not rely upon the mind. That is the basis. For that they use the word, don't attach to the mind. Don't identify with the mind.
And identify with the permanent Atman.
Like that.
Yeah, you are not mind, you are the original source. Identify with where you came from. But this explanation is your explanation or their explanation?
All identification is possible only with the help of the mind. When we dismiss the mind, no identification is possible.
Yeah, accept this explanation. I doubt whether this is your explanation or their explanation.
I don't know. I am explaining.
I understand.
Their intention may be like this, listening like this.
So this discussion about the mind and everything, so leads us to the clear conclusion that only the understanding of the functioning of the mind leads us to liberation. No technique, no practice, nothing else can actually lead us to liberation. Only this clear understanding of the functioning of the mind brings us freedom from the mind. Is that right?
mind.
Yeah.
The solution is also the mind. Everything is in the mind.
The problem is created by the mind. The solution is provided by the mind.
Yeah.